Hey everybody, this is Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, thank you for stopping by, and if you're returning, thank you again for stopping by and checking me out. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy, so that is a PharmD, and I love makeup, so that's how you get Dr. Ash in her makeup, but please just call me Ashley, and once again, thank you for stopping by. So today we're doing some looks. We're going to be testing out Melt Cosmetics 420 palette. So this palette has been out obviously for a minute, but it sold out initially on the Sephora website and the Melt Cosmetic website, and it released 420, but you know, it's kind of during the midst of shutdown, and Melt is out of California, and their state was one of the few states that was shut down very early. So production really wasn't as fast, but this is the packaging, and I picked this up from Sephora kind of like at the end of the May as like a little birthday treat. I picked up a few different things that I've been wanting. So this is the unicorn of the packaging for the palette, and I just think it is so pretty. It's nice, bright foil, shiny gold, and it says 420 on the front. And then once you open it up, you have the gorgeous palette right here, and it says 420. And then there is like a little bit of a screen on top of the palette itself to give this effect that everything is kind of moving, or you're tripping on something, or whatever you want to call it. So for me, Melt really kills it with the packaging. Like, their packaging is always so beautiful to me. As you can see, I have the Vita and Murte palette back there, and the packaging is always just so dope. So once you open it up, you have your basic 12-pan palette. You know, they're kind of changing all their stacks into palette and releasing new palettes. So this is probably like the second duo to the Smoke Sessions palette. You know, Melt, we know that they love some weed in their life, basically. So we have this beautiful green matte palette, and I did not pick up the Smoke Sessions palette. I heard very mixed reviews about the palette, but I was very interested in this color story. It is so pretty to me. I really love green eyeshadows, and then inside it, we only have this one shimmer shade, which is called Shatter. So this is not really a review, but we're going to play around with the palette, and then I will give you some final thoughts at the end. Of course, I'm going to bring you at least a couple looks of the palette. So let's go ahead and kind of swatch the shades so we know what we're working with. So I'm going to swatch on the inside of my arm because I have like this nasty cut scrape on my arm from work earlier today. So first up, we have the shade Shotgun. Going in next with Faded. And then Chronic. So those are the first three shades. Next we have Roll It. And of course all the names are weed inspired. Then we have Dank and Blunt. We have Shatter, which is the one shimmer shade. X. Full Melt. Last but not least, we have Hash. So these are all, so this is all 12 shades of the 420 palette, and I'll come in closer so you can see. Let's go ahead and get started. I let this prime using my Too Faced Multi-Sculpting Concealer. This is the shade Butterscotch, and I always use this concealer when I am doing multiple looks because it's easy to just take off. Going in Wayne number 16 brush. Going to start with the shade Hash. Right here, we're going to put this in the transition area. So far, I can tell you this palette has a lot of kick up because I just kind of dipped in, and look at all the shadow from Hash right there. So we're going to go ahead, apply this in the transition. And so far it's giving a nice muted kind of contour look, and we're just going back and forth to set up the framework of whatever this eye look is going to look like, because I have not pre-planned it. So I'm just blending that back and forth with that Wayne number 16. Same brush, wiped it off in my makeup towel. Going to go in with the shade Dank, and I'm just going to put that in my crease also, and I'm just going to be kind of careful how much I pick up since this palette is dusty, and I'm just kind of laying that down in the crease, and then I'm going to blend it back and forth. So that has pretty good pigmentation, okay? So we're getting pretty smoky pretty quickly. And I'm just blending that up into that first shade, which was Hash. But I can let you know right now that this palette is a little dusty, and I'm just gonna kind of bring it out. Sonia G Worker Pro, I'm gonna go in with the shade called Roll It, right here. And I'm just gonna pat this. It's not bad. I got a lot of fallout. I got some fallout, but okay. I've heard so many mixed reviews about this palette, so I just kind of wanted to try it out for myself and see, you know, what this looks like. So far this look is very smoky, but I don't have any problem with the pigmentation. Do I? I was like, it looks a little patchy right there, but it could be, you know, the area, it doesn't, the camera doesn't lie to me. I'm gonna go back in with that first brush and go back in with a little bit of dank. Oh my gosh, this palette is messy though. Just apply a little bit more right there. You guys always know I talk about my extra skin right there. Sonia G Builder Pro, I'm gonna go in with the shade Shatter. Now this shimmer shade, it seems, I'm not sure. The way it picks up on a brush, you see it's very clumpy. So it seems very hardly pressed. So, okay. Okay, so not really good. I'm gonna go in with my finger, picking up that shimmer shade Shatter. Okay, and it spreads out a little bit better with the finger. Not necessarily the biggest finger person fan, but usually I have some type of gel overlay on my nails, so my natural nails can grow a little bit longer. Don't look at how raggedy they are right now. I do need a manicure when I go tomorrow after work. But usually I can't get all up in here with my finger because of how I wear my nails. But I mean, it's easier right now since I don't have nails. But I'm just not a big fan of sticking my finger in my palettes. Now this shade is not so bad once you pack it on your finger. Your finger definitely warms up the particles, so it looks nice. It's like it's not super foiled, but it's a nice shimmer to it, as you can see, and it does pack on nicely. I didn't really know where we were going with this look, but I like it just like this. It's nice and smoky with that pop of green. The lighting seems just a tiny bit funny. The sun is about to set, or it's doing this nightly thing. Number 16, so it's not quite setting just yet, but I'm just going to go ahead and make sure this is blended out well. It's smooth. And I'll clean up the fallout, but let's move on to this eye. Going in with number 16 brush, eyelid is prime using that same concealer. Going to jump in with the shade Wax as the first transition shade, this bright yellow, and we're going to put it in a transition area. And let's see how this blends out. This swatch just okay, and on my skin complexion, it's more just like a hint of yellow. This yellow was very, it was a little patchy looking, little kind of crumble, but it just gives like a yellow tint on my skin. So it's like it'll probably be better off as a transition shade versus it's not going to show up very bright unless I use a white primer, or if I just use a packing brush instead of a big fluffy blending brush. But I would say as a transition, I do like the shade of it, and it looks like on camera it's showing up a little brighter. It's not bad, but it's not a bad transition shade. So just blending that back and forth in the crease. With the Sonia G Classic Crease, I'm going to go in with the shade called Full Melt, which is right here. More like a burnt orange shade, burnt terracotta shade, basically. Brown, and I'm just going to lay that in the crease. And I'm just kind of blending that back and forth. And this color seems to have nice pigmentation. I'm just building that up, and then I'm just going to go back in with a little bit more. Going back in with the Sonia G, this is the Worker Pro. I'm going to go in with the shade Blunt right here, which is the next medium brown. And look, see what I'm saying? Like, look how dusty this palette is looking. It's looking like it is a holy grail palette. We have used it literally once. Just going to pack that in to the inner corner. And these colors kind of look really the same, to be honest. But I'm just going to pack that in. In Sonia G Builder Pro, going in with the shade Hash right here. I am going to basically fill in the rest of the space right here. So we have a little bit more definition to this look. I'm going to pick up the Classic Crease Brush again by Sonia G, and we're going to go in with the shade Chronic. I'm just going to start working it on this outer corner, and I'm kind of just doing circular motions, light circular motions, and then I'm just going to start kind of feathering it up to the crease, just so we can have a little bit more added definition to the look. And I don't know, kind of made it look a little muddy. I don't know. Back in with the Builder Pro. I'm sorry, the other one was the Worker Pro. I'm going to pick up a little bit more of Hash and just kind of put it back up there where I haven't been too much with the shade Chronic. I'm gonna go ahead and do some lashes and add the rest of my makeup, and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back, and here are the two looks in its entirety. I added on my Kiss Ritzy lashes, and once again, I use my Velour Lash and Go adhesive slash eyeliner, and it works fabulously. I did just do a video on this, and I'll try to link it up here or down below in the description box. You guys need to watch that video if you struggle with putting it on your lashes. But for my lip combo, I am using Night Moth lip liner along with One Love lip gloss by the Lip Bar She Is, and I'll leave the rest of my face details down below in the description box. So let's talk about the two looks. Overall, I like how they look, but to be honest, I actually like the matte look better. It really came to life when you put on the lashes, and it makes the eye just look a little bit more open. I do like the gold right here with that army green facade, but I wish you could see a little bit of difference in the two greens, but you can't really. But it's still very pretty, kind of effortless look. Kind of smoky with a little bit of shimmer, and I don't mind the small shimmer placement versus when I usually kind of bring it all the way up. But I am really digging this particular matte eye, and the shadows have performed like okay. They're a little powdery, a little dusty, but so far okay. I wouldn't say that it's the greatest performance that I've ever witnessed. So let's go ahead and do one more look. So I will be right back. I'm back. My eyelids are re-primed using that same concealer as before. Wayne Goss number 16. I wiped it off very well. We're going to go ahead and play with a little bit more of the green side of the palette, because that's what I'm really interested in. But first I'm going to go ahead and take the shade Hash, so we can just kind of set this down as a nice transition shade and give the shadow something to blend into. So I'm just going to run this back and forth. And I do actually like this shade. It does give nice pigmentation and gives a nice contour shape to the eye, like I said earlier. So I'm just going back and forth, windshield wiper motions, and just blending that out. Then I have Hash down, same brush, I wiped it off, going in with the shade Faded right here. And I'm just gonna pop that in the crease. And what I did notice, it got a little darker when I laid it down. It's not, you know, it starts off a little bit brighter, but it did get a little darker once I laid that shade down. But the shades are blending out. I'm not really having any trouble blending them or anything like that. So once again, I'm just going back and forth and building this up to the desired look that I want in the crease. And then I am going to take some up here towards the brow, but I'm going to leave it here, but I'm just going to take some of that green right there. Now with my Sonia G, this is the Builder Pro. I'm going to go in with the shade Shotgun, which is this bright neon green, and we're going to see how that works. And I'm going to pack this on into the inner corner. So. It's not bad. Let's see. Get a little bit brighter. I'm just packing that on. So it does give a pop. It does pop. Let's see. I'm gonna start packing some right here. Now with that same Builder Pro, I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of the shade Dank right here. We did use that earlier. And I'm going to kind of pat it right next to that neon shade, which was called Shotgun. And I'm just going to pat it here. Ooh, I'm kind of digging this look. And then with my Sonia G Worker Pro, I'm going to go in with the shade Chronic, which is this nice army green right here. And I'm going to place this on the outer corner. And I'm gonna fuse it in with that shade Dank. So when you use these two shades together, you can definitely see more of that green in the Chronic as here, versus the first time I did it together where I had Roll It and Dank and Chronic in that first look, and it kind of all just went in to one shade. Just going to take that Wayne number 16 that we used the first time, because even though it's not like, it's a blending brush, but I usually use it for the crease, I don't want to dirty up any more brushes with green shadow. I mean, that's just keeping it real. Like, if you don't want to dirty up all your brushes, just reuse the same brush, or if you don't have a lot of brushes, you can kind of reuse some brushes. So I'm just going to kind of blend this out right here. I mean, you don't have to feel like you need every brush in the world to create a look. You just need a few of the right ones. Just gonna add a tiny more shadow right there in my skin folds, my little problem areas. All right, I'm gonna add my liner and lashes, and I'll be right. All right. Okay, so I'm back, and here is the final look. I think it actually came out really, really gorgeous, and I really, really love how this look came out. And I actually like how all three of the looks came out, but here's my dilemma. So I really like the palette. I love the color story of the palette. The packaging of the palette gives A+. But I just don't know if it's worth like running out and spending the $48 for this palette. I believe I forgot to mention that in the opening on this video. So I really like the shade Hash because it gives really nice structure to your eye look. So if you just want something to kind of give it a contour or presence. But I really do think that Full Melt and Blunt look too similar, and they should have switched out the colors for maybe a different type of green shade. And then I really do like the Dank from this end on down. So that's about half of the palette. Now the Shatter shade, which is the only shimmer shade in this palette, is just okay. So Melt really does need to work on their formula when it comes to their shimmer shades, because they do not knock it out the park there. The shimmer shade was okay, and it was nice once I applied it along with the other shadows, but I had to use my finger. When you picked it up with a brush, you saw I picked up a brush, it was very like flaky. It was just patchy looking. So your fingers and the oils on your finger and the warmth of your finger really helps kind of like warm up the product and makes the product smooth evenly across your eye. Because other than that, using a brush, and I'm using natural hair brushes, it was just pretty much a disaster. But I really do just love the color scheme of this formula. The shadows are very powdery, so it depends on how much you want to deal with that. I feel like this palette kind of looks like it's been through the ringer, even though this is my very first time using the palette. But overall, I really do love all of the looks that I came up with. However, I do, when I sit there and think about it, I'm like, if I go across all my palettes, I could create all of these looks. So for me, I don't think like this is a palette that just really knocks it out the park for it to say like, yes, pay $48. Now I feel like their Vita and Muerte collection, like those shadows are so much more high performing than this particular palette. Now I don't feel like this is the worst palette I've tried. I don't feel like it's the best. It's just somewhere in the middle. It's just, I don't know. So I have mixed emotions about the palette, but overall I feel like the looks that I did come up with were nice. I feel like a couple of shades do kind of get a little muddy together when you use them, especially when I had the roller shade with the, I want to say what I had Dank with it the first time. It got a little muddy. Even when I added Chronic on top of Blunt or the full melt shade, it still got a little muddy, but I feel like the lashes and the liner just kind of brought the whole look together where I did really like that look. But overall, I really do like how the shotgun shade is in the inner corner of my eyes today. And I think that just kind of gave the shade, my eye look, excuse me, a pop. But overall, I think like it's okay. It's not bad. I got it to perform well. I didn't feel like anything was just terrible. Everything blended out okay. It's just that some of the shades get a little muddy. And I don't know if you could just have to say like, oh yes, this is worth $48, especially if you're not going to wear green shadows like that. You can just kind of scour across your whole collection and you could come up with a couple of green shadows. If not, you know, Juvia's Place, they have the Nomad palette, which is kind of in this khaki armored green color scheme. Plus, paired along with their Tri palette, you can kind of just put it together and get some of the same effects. Morphe has the Making Bank palette, even though their shadows, I feel like the melt shadows are better than the Morphe shadows in this palette. But if you're just looking for some inexpensive options, I think those are something to consider. But overall, I hope that you guys really enjoyed the looks. I'm really digging this look. I think it came out really awesome. I don't really do a lot of matte looks on my channel, so it's nice to kind of explore some different options. And the eye shape and the structure of this particular look is just a little bit different than what I normally do. So let me know down in the comments, are you going to pick up this palette? Are you just like, ooh, I'm still on a fence after watching this video? Just let me know so we can chat it up in the comments. And give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with that being said, you already know what time it is. It is time for the check dance, check dance, hey, hey, check dance, check dance, hey, hey, check dance. All right, y'all. I'll talk to you later. Bye.